Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and it's time to explore a few more new Bandcamp recommendations and requests. But before I do that, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel if you want to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal albums and bands from the underground and above. Then stick with me by hitting that button. I upload new content every single week. All right, we're going to kick it off with Fleur Rouge, which I have not listened to at all yet. It's a project out of India. Let's go ahead and check this out. Post-black metal from Kalyan. So far, I like that guitar tone. I like the way they've gelled this raw guitar sound, kind of Burzum-y guitar with the synth sound and the keys. Definitely some strong Burzum vibes. I'm wondering if that's an influence here. Cool logo too. Pretty cover. Even the cover has some kind of later Burzum vibes, similar art style that Varg likes to use, but this is much better than anything more recent. I like it. I like it so far. It's just a 4-song EP, Name Your Own Price. Always a big fan of those. I'll say no excuse not to check these ones out. Yeah, very just soothing, good kind of background music. I like the way they produce the vocals too, very kind of sparing. Also getting some, I'm forgetting the name of that band that people thought was a Japanese band for so long, and then it turned out they weren't. The name is escaping me right now. Is it Moonbath was the album, I think? Well, Moonlover was one of the albums. Can't think of the name. Maybe in the comments somebody can remind me. That was really nice. A little bit too kind of drony for my personal taste, but I like listening to it. It's just not something I see myself like regularly coming back to. But I know plenty of people who eat this stuff up and will be doing that for sure. Let's see what else we got here. Alright, and then this request came from the same person, another Indian project. I'm going to guess more black metal. Gonna guess maybe a little bit darker style here. Yep. Just based on that album art. One-man black metal band from Kalyan City, India. A lot of cool black metal coming out of India right now. Some cool death metal too, if you know where to dig for it. Fun cover. I always like these, I forget what period of art that is, but it's just that kind of like weirdness to it. More kind of drony style, but yeah, obviously the post-black stuff is kind of out on this one. There's some of it still in the atmosphere. More Name Your Own Price. What else? Oh yeah, dark sound on this one. Kind of certain elements of the atmosphere remind me a little bit of Cult of Fire. It's a bit more raw than that. Good stuff. Get plenty of black metal. Always like to share it. Nice balanced production. Like sometimes bands are like so raw that it just like it's not even pleasant to listen to, but they've managed to take that sound and put it together nicely. I think the synth kind of holds things together too, which is something I like about a lot of early second wave black metal, the ones that have more of that synth element. I always think of like Dark Medieval Times. Cool. Alright, this was one that Chris sent out to me. This is Ocean Grove out of Australia with Flip Phone Fantasy. If I remember, they're a little bit more rock oriented, and I was ready to write them off, but something about it is incredibly infectious. Man, these guys look like a 90s group. like New Radicals or something. Man, this is really loud. I'm hoping when I edit this I can turn this down. This is much louder than the other stuff. Holy crap, it's very loud. Hip-hop elements in it. It's different. It's interesting to me. Like, I always like seeking out stuff that kind of catches me off guard. I'm not into the whole, like, rap rock thing for the most part, although, as you all know, if you've been following the channel, I love that new Mora Perkaza album. The way they mix black metal with hip-hop and trap was really interesting. But I like this music. It's very full... kind of, in a weird way, the fullness of the music kind of reminds me of, like, Incubus, even though it doesn't really sound anything like Incubus. It just sounds like something out of that era, that, like, early 2000s stuff you would hear on the radio. I miss that. Radio just, like, doesn't play any new rock bands anymore, and it's a shame. Yeah, I'm sure some people are going to watch and absolutely hate this. They just seem like a band that could be very divisive, but that can end up being really good for your career, actually. Like, Finn McKenty of Punk Rock MBA did a video on this recently, talking about how these really divisive bands, it ends up kind of helping boost them because they stay in your mind. So they could do kind of like the Code Orange thing here, and get a good half of their base that really loves them, another half that hate them enough that they just make enough videos about them that it helps them. I can barely hear myself talk right now. This is so loud. I don't know if it's just this album or if it's just the other two albums were quiet. I guess we'll find out. But yeah, it's interesting. Kind of a, like, Linkin Park vibes here, even. Yeah, interesting. I'd be willing to give this a little bit more of a listen. I will say, feedback for the band, this is way too much for a digital album. That is robbery. Like, a digital album, in my opinion, at max should be $9.99, and even to me, I feel like that's a little too much. But, music's interesting. Alright, now let's check out Unexpect with Fables of the Sleepless Empire. If I recall, this was a direct band request, but I start to lose track of that. From Montreal, Quebec. Another cool album cover. I like that. I think I might have just had my volume up too high, and those other albums were just quieter. Let me turn this down just a bit here. Skip forward a little bit. So, Unexpected Metal Laboratory, mixing elements of Black Death, symphonic and melodic metal, progressive, classical, electro, folk, jazz, operatic, mathcore. Man, it just goes on. So a little bit of everything here. Sounds right up my alley. See, $8.99 CAD, which is actually just $6.62 in US dollars. To me, that is a much more reasonable price range for a digital release. So this is very kind of like symphonic. I like that. I know that instrument in the background, but I can't place it. Oh, there we go. They've got a little bit of a look to them too. A little mix though. It's funny. You've got like the people dressed in the really classy clothing, and then you got dude in like the bowling shirt with the bandana or hat. This is interesting. This is kind of like Karish Angrenny sort of instrumentation. A little bit of Wilder Run kind of in there. Man, this is all over the place. This is this is my shit right here. Like when they really smash all the genres together. A little bit of Igor in there maybe. I have a million bands like racing through my head right now in terms of what this reminds me of. Now, this is something I might consider doing like a full review of. My schedule is just so packed right now. This is dope though. I approve. Well done, guys. And I'm only halfway through the first song. It's like a on the longer side release. But if they change it up this much, I almost hate skipping through an album like this, because I'm sure I'm like missing interesting segments. Nice bass. Ooh, nice strings. I might be in love with this. Listen to that guitar too. There's a lot going on here. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to, you sold me, guys. I'm gonna have to give this a full listen when I have a moment. Because they weren't kidding. Like, I thought they were gonna be a little bit overly ambitious in this description, but this is really cool. Props. Alright, but we really do have to move on, so let's go to this Belgian project, Bleedskin. I have a feeling this is going to be complete opposite of the spectrum based on this album art. I'm expecting very just intense, raw, straightforward kind of stuff here. Death metal from Belgium, inspired by Cannibal Corpse, Abnormality, Behemoth, Dying Fetus, and Benighted. Yep. Vocals giving me a little bit of a Death Cloud vibe. Duncan Hills, coffee. God, I miss Metalocalypse so much. Hell yeah. Some classic sounding death metal, kind of Florida scene. I get so much death metal, it's hard for me to give time to all the bands. But it's solid. Solid stuff. Nice little groove to that riff. Just try another song here. Name Your Own Price, too. Name Your Own Price, just 5 songs. Another nice get in, get out kind of release. Nice clunky drum sound. It's got kind of that, listen to early Gorgoroth, you'll hear people talk about like the wet cardboard sound of the bass drum. It kind of reminds me of that. There's a certain charm to it. Cool stuff. I don't have as much to say about this one, which is why like I end up not reviewing a lot of it, and that's the main thing. It's not that I don't like it, it's just that I've heard so many things like this that it's hard for me to come up with like new, original, interesting things to say about it. So good job though, and hope people check it out. Alright, and I think last today I'm going to cover this Great Dane recording. This is a band that I kind of want to do a full review of. In fact, I started to include it in another episode, and I liked it so much that I was like, no, I need to do a full review, but I'm not sure I'm going to get to it. So at very least, I'm just going to throw it in here. This is Empyreal Vault. I believe they're another French band, and it was funny because I was listening to it, and I was like, oh, this reminds me kind of Exocrine a little bit. And sure enough, you look in the members, and the bass vocalist is from Exocrine, and the guitarist is from Exocrine. So you got like half of Exocrine in this band. That's dope. Like synth-heavy, progressive death metal, very well produced. Great Dane does some really great work. I encourage you to follow this label. That's actually how I initially discovered Exocrine before they moved up in the world and signed with, I think they're on Unique Leader now. But the first album I bought from them was from Great Dane, and I am forever grateful for that because they are incredible. And same goes for what I'm hearing with this album. Like, this is just dope as hell. Guitars are sick. A lot of nice texturing, shifting between the chugs, and then more sort of technical, dynamic arrangements. Great bass parts again, too, which is something I love about Exocrine. A lot of similarities between the projects, and no complaints here, because they write some really great music. I love a great bass player. Like, bass players kind of get shit on a lot, but when you find a really great one, you gotta hold on to them. Oh, that is so sick. Cool album cover, too. Looks kind of like getting some George R.R. Martin vibes. Man, that is sick. Yeah, I really, really want to spend more time with this. But I just have so many things on my plate. I'm just loaded up with requests constantly. My inbox is just brimming. My, like, kind of to-do list has gotten way too long. To the point where I'm probably going to have to shave things down, but god dang, y'all. This is... Do not sleep on this. Man, that's a sick riff, sick drumming. Amazing. Great work. Alright, I could just sit here and listen to the whole album, but I'll just leave you with that little taste and leave it at that. And I think that's plenty for now. This episode's getting on a little bit on the longer side now, but let me know which one of these is your favorite, which one you plan on checking out, which ones you bought. That's my favorite comment to get. And stick around after this video, of course, because there's plenty more of these, and also the more formal album reviews, album roundups, tier lists, and the podcast where I actually interview these very talented musicians. Also in the description you can find links to our social media, the email newsletter, and our Patreon and Subscribestar if you want to become a full-on supporter. But that'll do it for this episode. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.